You ever notice how people love rules? They can't get enough of them. Every group, every club, every neighborhood has got a whole stack of them. You walk into a new job, they hand you a rule book thicker than the Bible. Half of it about coffee breaks and staplers. There's a rule for everything except common sense. And somehow we all go along with it, like obedient little wind, up toys bumping into walls and saying, "Sorry, I didn't see the sign." Rules are supposed to keep order, right? That's the story they sell us. But if you look close enough, you start to realize most of them aren't about order at all. They're about control. The whole idea is to get you used to doing what you're told, even when it makes no sense. That way, when the big stuff comes along, tax codes, zoning laws, dress codes, invisible social hierarchies, you don't ask questions. You just nod, sign the form, and keep your head down. When you're a kid, it starts early. Don't run in the hallway. Raise your hand before speaking. Ask permission to go to the bathroom. By the time you're 10, they've trained you like a puppy. You've learned that authority doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be followed. And when you finally get out of school, you think you're free. But then there's work. Oh yeah, now you're following a whole new set of rules. This time written by people in nicer suits. And those people love telling you it's all for your benefit. They'll tell you the rules keep society functioning, keep everyone safe, keep the trains running on time. But you ever notice that the trains are always late and the only people feeling safe are the ones writing the rules? Take the workplace, for example. No personal phone calls. No political conversations. No facial hair beyond 1 inch. Who measures that? Is there a guy walking around with a ruler, checking your mustache like he's grading produce? Half the rules in a company handbook sound like they were written by someone who got beat up by a free thinker in high school. Then there are the unspoken rules, the social ones. Don't talk too loud. Don't laugh too much. Don't mention that the system's rigged. You can't say what you really think because it might make people uncomfortable. And we wouldn't want that, would we? Comfort is the new holy word. Keep everyone calm, quiet, and mildly distracted. That's the trick. Keep them shopping. Keep them scrolling. Keep them too polite to ask why they're always tired and broke. The funny thing is, people defend these rules. They'll fight for them. They'll tell you, that's just how it is. As if that's a deep philosophical argument. That's not philosophy. That's surrender. That's just how it is means I gave up thinking about it a long time ago. Rules about language are another great example. They change every year. What you could say last year suddenly becomes offensive this year. And if you accidentally say the wrong word, there's always someone ready to jump out and correct you. like a grammar ninja with a Twitter account. You can't say that anymore. Well, thanks for keeping track. I didn't realize I needed a permission slip to express an idea. You ever notice the people who make the rules never seem to live by them? Politicians make rules about honesty, then get caught lying. Corporate leaders talk about fairness, then move their money to the Cayman Islands. Even the local homeowners association makes rules about lawn height, but the president's grass looks like it's been through a drought. The rule makers don't follow rules. They make them for you. That's the point. Rules give people a sense of moral superiority. They don't have to think. They just point to the book. Hey, it's not me, it's the rule. That way. No one ever takes responsibility. It's perfect. Bureaucrats, bosses, and busybodies all get to hide behind the same wall of nonsense. And when someone comes along who doesn't buy into it, who says, hey, maybe we don't need all these stupid restrictions, suddenly that person's the problem. You're being difficult. You're not a team player. You've got an attitude problem. Well, yeah, maybe I do. Maybe the problem is your rules make no sense, and my attitude still remembers what freedom smells like. Rules are like invisible fences. They don't have to shock you anymore. You've been trained to stop before you even get close. The genius of modern control isn't punishment. It's conditioning. You don't have to lock people up if you can convince them to stay in line voluntarily. Even the idea of success has rules now. You're supposed to go to school, get a job, buy a house, have kids, save for retirement, and then, if you're really lucky, you get to die without causing too much paperwork. And if you stray from that formula, people get nervous. Oh, you're not married yet. You're still renting. You're not on LinkedIn. It's like there's a manual for living that nobody remembers agreeing to, but everybody keeps quoting from. And you know what happens when you start questioning it? You make people uncomfortable. Because once one person breaks a rule, others start to wonder why they're still following it. And that's dangerous. The moment you start asking, who benefits from this? The whole thing starts to wobble. And the people on top don't like wobbling. They like stability. They like predictability. They like a world where everyone knows their place and plays their part. It's funny, though. Every big breakthrough in history started with someone breaking a rule. The first person who said the earth wasn't flat broke a rule. The first person who said maybe kings aren't chosen by God broke a rule. The first person who put pineapple on pizza definitely broke a rule. Some of those rule breakers changed the world. Some of them just ruined lunch. But either way, they thought for themselves. The truth is, rules aren't really the problem. It's blind obedience. It's forgetting that rules are supposed to serve people, not the other way around. When the rule stops making sense, you're supposed to question it, not kneel to it. But that's harder. It takes energy. It takes thought. And thinking is the one thing society forgot to encourage. So here's the secret nobody tells you. The only rules that really matter are the ones you make for yourself. The ones born out of decency, empathy, and a little bit of humor. Everything else is just someone else's way of keeping you busy while they count the money. And if you ever feel guilty for breaking a few of those other rules, don't. Because half the time, the only reason they exist is to make sure you never realize how free you actually are. You ever notice how people can believe the wildest stuff? As long as it comes with candles, music, and someone in a fancy robe. It's amazing. You can tell people there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything they do every minute of every day. And they'll nod and say, "Oh yes, that makes sense." Then you tell them the paint on the wall is still wet, and they'll have to touch it just to be sure. That's the magic of religion. It's the only area of life where people are proud of believing without evidence, and even prouder of not asking questions. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it. People want answers. Life's confusing. You show up here naked and screaming. They put a number on your birth certificate. And for the next 70 years, you're supposed to figure out what it all means while paying taxes. That's a tough gig. So it's understandable that somewhere along the way, people made up stories to make sense of things. Stories with big beginnings, dramatic endings, and someone in charge up there keeping score. Because if nobody's keeping score, then we're just making it up as we go along. And that's terrifying for some folks. But you have to admire the imagination. The stories are incredible. Talking snakes, burning bushes, oceans parting, guys walking on water. It's like the greatest special effects show before movies were invented. And back then, people didn't know about lighting tricks or stage smoke. So if someone made a stick turn into a snake, they'd say, "That's a miracle." These days, we'd say, "Nice work, Copperfield." The funny part is how every religion thinks they've got the real story. There are thousands of them, and each one insists that all the others are wrong. It's like a cosmic game of my dad can beat up your dad. Only in this case, the dads are invisible, and they all need money. That's the one thing they've got in common. Every religion wants your cash. The building may look different. A temple, a church, a mosque. But the message is the same. God loves you, and he needs a small donation to keep the lights on. And have you noticed how God always seems to need money in exact proportion to how expensive the preacher's car is? Funny coincidence, huh? You'd think an all-powerful being could cover his own expenses. If you can create the universe in 6 days You should be able to handle the electric bill without passing the plate. What really gets me, though, is how religion takes the simple things in life and makes them complicated. You want to talk to the big guy upstairs. You can't just do it directly. You need someone in the middle. A priest, a minister, a rabbi, some guy who claims to have a special phone line to heaven. And you never get to hear the other side of the conversation. For all you know, he's just talking to the ceiling and billing you for long distance. And prayer, oh, that's another one. People praying for everything: new jobs, better weather, football games, parking spaces, as if the universe is up there juggling galaxies and black holes, but will take a minute to find you a spot at the mall. You can almost picture it. Sorry, folks, we've got a tsunami forming in the Pacific, but Jim here really needs a spot near the food court. Of course, when things go right, it's a miracle. When they go wrong, it's a mystery. Heads they win, tails you lose. You can't beat that system. It's the ultimate insurance plan. No matter what happens, the explanation works. That's genius level marketing. And they've been running this campaign for thousands of years without ever updating the product. And the guilt. Oh, they've got guilt down to a science. You're born guilty, they tell you. Before you even do anything, you're already in trouble for something someone did thousands of years ago. You start life at a moral deficit. That's a brilliant setup. Convince people they're broken. Then sell them the repair kit. You're a sinner, but don't worry, we've got a plan. All you have to do is follow these 10 impossible rules, attend weekly guilt meetings, and donate 10% of your income. It's foolproof. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not against kindness, compassion, or community. Those are good things. But you don't need an ancient book to know that helping your neighbor is better than stealing his lawnmower. You don't need a divine threat hanging over your head to behave decently. Morality doesn't come from heaven. It comes from empathy, from understanding that we're all stuck on the same spinning rock, trying not to bump into each other too hard before the ride ends. The problem comes when belief turns into obedience. When people stop thinking for themselves and start outsourcing their brains to someone behind a pulpit. That's when religion stops being a comfort and starts being a leash. And let's face it, some of the worst things in history happened because people thought they were doing God's will. Once you believe your invisible friend told you to do something, anything's on the table. That's why I always get nervous when people say, God told me to do this. Because I've noticed God never tells anyone to do something simple like bake cookies or feed the ducks. It's always something dramatic and inconvenient. And every religion's got its own special set of rules from above. You can't eat this. You can't wear that You can't touch this person. You can't go there on a Tuesday. It's like cosmic red tape. Somewhere, there's a divine secretary with a clipboard saying, sorry, you can't go to heaven in those shoes. And people just nod along. Nobody ever says, hey, maybe the universe doesn't care what I had for lunch. But here's the part that always gets me laughing. Every religion promises paradise, but nobody seems in a hurry to get there. You'd think with all those beautiful afterlife descriptions, harps, clouds, virgins, golden streets, people would be lining up to go. But no, everyone's doing everything they can to stay right here. They're wearing seatbelts, eating bran, jogging at 6 in the morning. Seems like they don't trust the brochure. I've always thought if people could admit they don't know, the world would be a lot calmer. Just say, we don't know. That's honest. That's real. Instead, we've got centuries of folks pretending to have the answers, writing them down, and passing them along as eternal truth. And because of that, we've been arguing for thousands of years about whose invisible friend has the best magic tricks. Still, you have to give religion credit. It's resilient. It's survived science, logic, and the invention of the telescope. No matter how much we learn, there's always someone saying, yeah, but you can't explain this. And if you can, they'll just move the goalposts. You can't beat that. It's like playing hide and seek with someone who keeps changing the rules halfway through the game. At the end of the day, people believe because it feels good. It gives life a shape, a rhythm, a story with a beginning and an ending. There's comfort in thinking someone's watching out for you, that there's meaning behind the mess. I get that. But maybe the real meaning comes from us, from the way we treat each other, from the way we laugh, love, and mess up together. Maybe that's enough. Maybe we don't need the fairy tales to make it matter. Because if there's one thing we should have learned by now, it's that the universe doesn't hand out answers. It hands out questions. And the best any of us can do is keep asking them, keep wondering, keep laughing at the absurdity of it all.